What's up guys, Toya here, and welcome to Katastic. What is the best diet for your cat? As you go down the aisle, you see all the different brands, you see all the different labels, all natural, premium, veterinarian recommended. But what's all this stuff about? What is the best food to feed your cat? We're gonna talk about that today. Cats are carnivores, meaning they're going to require primarily protein and they're going to need some fats and very low carb. So let's talk about the different types of foods that are available to our cats and let's see what's the best option. I'm pretty sure the first thing that comes to mind is kibble. That dry food, it's readily available, it's cheap. So dry food, although readily available, may not be the best thing to feed your cat. It's highly processed. Most of the protein comes from plants rather than the animal protein that our cats need to thrive. It's way more easier to process because it's mostly comprised of corn, wheat, soy, and other grain-based products. The other component that some people might not realize is the fact that it lacks water. Cats actually don't have a thirst drive, so they don't have to go around drinking water. They're not like us where it's like, oh, we gotta go ahead and drink something after every bite that we take so we don't choke. It's just not in their nature. On their natural diets, they can get about 70% of water content from meat, whereas dry food is only gonna contain up to about 10% or less in most cases. So they're not really getting a lot of water. Yeah, you're gonna have a water bowl available to them, but they're not gonna drink it, like I said, because they just don't have that drive to drink water like other species. And with them not having a high enough water content, this can lead to issues with their urinary tract. So urinary tract infections, issues with their bladder, all kinds of things. Some of the more common health issues that you can see if you only feed your cat dry food are diabetes, obesity, kidney disease, asthma, dental issues, hairballs, and like I mentioned before, urinary tract issues. The list goes on and on. So please take that into consideration if you are thinking about only feeding your cat dry food. Next on the list, we got canned food. Canned food is going to be a bit better than dry food, but you still want to pay attention to those labels. You're going to see a lot of marketing labels that say natural, premium, veterinarian recommended, prescription. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. Yeah, they're probably going to be more expensive, but more expensive does not mean better quality. The other thing that I find funny is when foods say indoor cat, like your cat having a roof over its head makes it less of a cat. It doesn't do anything extra for your cat just because the food says for indoor cats. So after you've gone ahead and gotten past all those crazy labels, let's talk about the actual content of the food. So it's usually going to have more water content than your typical dry food kibble, and it will contain more protein and it'll be lower carb. But you still have to look at the ingredient list. So when reading your ingredient list, remember that it's going to be listed from the highest to the lowest amount in that food. So when you're reading your ingredient list, know that that first item is going to be the main ingredient in that can. So make sure that first ingredient is actually meat. So whether that be chicken, turkey, fish, whatever, make sure that ingredient is actually meat. Be on the lookout for things that say byproduct or meal. So like chicken meal, turkey meal, things like that. That's not actual meat. Chicken meal, for example, is actually made from chicken byproducts, not chicken meat. So that's going to include feet, intestines, eggshells, feathers. It's not actual meat. It's animal byproduct. So what they do, they take all of that, get it together, and they make a, if you want to call it like some type of substance, that's where they get the meal, the chicken meal from. It's not actual meat, but they take all those byproducts, combine it together, process it, and it's gunk. So if your item, if the first item on that ingredient list is chicken meal or chicken byproduct, whatever, stay away because it's not actual meat. So with all that being said, it's not the best depending on what you get, but it is a lot better than dry food. All right, now this diet has some controversy, and you guys can make your own, decision when it comes to this, but this is my opinion. Raw food diets. Raw food diets are probably gonna be the best diet that you can give your cat. It's pretty much the closest thing that you can get to when it comes to your cat's natural diet if they were out in the wild. The main thing that makes it so controversial is the fact that it's a raw diet, meaning it has raw meat. So people say, well, they could get salmonella, they could get E. coli. Yes, but remember, they're the ones eating it, not us. Our digestive systems can't digest raw meat. Cats can. Now, if your cat has some type of disease, their immune system is compromised, it may not be the best diet for them. You probably want to stick to just, canned food. Or even if you want to cook the meat, just cooking, all the food, making sure it's not raw, you can do that. But any healthy cat will be able to digest that food because, well, that's what they're gonna do naturally. If a cat is going out to hunt, they're gonna go see for say a rabbit or something, right? They're gonna go hunt that rabbit, they're gonna go ahead and tear it up and eat it. They ain't gonna be like, oh, let me go ahead and throw it up on the grill and make sure you got some char marks and all that. Like, no, they just gonna go ahead and eat it and that's it. That's that. That's what they do in the wild. So it's not like E. coli and salmonella, it ain't just a new thing that popped up out of nowhere. We can't digest it, but they can. So don't take that away from your cat. Now, a raw diet doesn't mean just feeding your cat a pile of meat. You go to the store and get you some chicken breasts and get you some beef or whatever you want to feed them. It don't mean you just take that and throw it on a plate and be like, here you go. Like, no, it still has to be balanced. Like I mentioned before, if they're hunting a rabbit, they're gonna take that rabbit, they're gonna eat everything. Skin, the muscle, the organs, everything. Nothing is gonna be left behind. They're gonna chew on the bones, all of that. All of that is crucial to their diet. So no, it's not just get a pile of meat and just throw it to them. Like, no, it's more than that. So you can go ahead and just buy everything and make your own type of, meals and everything for the raw diet. There are some companies out there that have pre-made packets for just, specifically for raw food diets. So if you're concerned about making it yourself and, concerned about cross-contamination, that's another thing people are concerned about as well. You can just go to the store and buy it. So of course you want to still make sure you're reading the label because it is coming from a company. You don't know what they're putting in there. So make sure you're reading the ingredient list, making sure that it has everything that you want your cat to have. And if not, you can just go ahead and make your own. Look up different recipes, look up different things that you want to make sure that's incorporated. I personally don't feed my cats the raw diet food just because it's so expensive. But you definitely can find different recipes online. Just Google, raw food diets for cats. There's tons of recipes that you can look up. All right, so with all that being said, these are the different types of diets. There are other things that we can get into when it comes to your cat's diets, but just to kind of go through an overview, your kibble, dry food, that's going to be your least expensive but also not the healthiest option for your cat. Canned food is kind of going to be on the medium tier. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than the dry food, but you are getting better nutrition value for your cat depending on what brand you use. And the raw food diet, of course, is probably going to be the most natural diet that you can get for your cat, but it will be the most expensive. All right guys, one last thing before we go. It's completely up to you what you decide to feed your cat at the end of the day, but please make sure it is in the best interest of your cat. I don't want to see people talking about, well, my cat's vegan or my cat's vegetarian, because that's even worse. If your cat is having, health issues, things like that, you might want to look into the diet. So just like with us, a lot of our issues that we have with our health comes from our food. Whatever we put into our bodies is gonna affect our health, whether positively, negatively, whatever. It's gonna have some type of effect. And the same thing's gonna apply with your cat. So if your cat is having all kinds of issues with, whether it's some type of organ failure or obesity, or even just like arthritis, things like that, a lot of that stuff can be alleviated just by what you're feeding them. So yes, so please keep that in mind when it comes to your cats. If they're having health issues, the first thing you should start looking at is their diet. A lot of things can be changed by just switching up the diet. So you may not necessarily have the funds, because I know I don't have the funds to go ahead and switch to a raw diet. But if you can do anything that gets them as close as possible to their natural diet, low carb, high protein, all of that, do what you can. If you can only afford to feed them kibble, but see if you can incorporate some type of extra food that gives them that high protein. They have like different meat and broth toppers that you can add on top of the food to give them extra nutrition. There's a lot of options out there. So just because you may only be able to feed your cat kibble doesn't make you a bad pet owner. It does not. And if that's the only thing you can afford, that's the only thing you can afford. But just keep in mind that the longevity of your cat, you know, the health, all of that is primarily affected by their diet. All right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. As always, make sure you leave a like, sub if you are new, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. I'm out of here.